Isang eroplano ng American Airlines na lulan ang 60 mga pasahero at 4 na crew members ang sumalpok sa isang Black Hawk helicopter sa Washington, D.C.
Ating kilalanin ang mga responde sa crash site upang magsagawa ng search and rescue operations. Mula sa mga detalye ng balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Lago Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Huwebes.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. nanindigang walang blankong item sa General Appropriations Act. DICT nanawagan sa gobyerno upang mabigyan ng regulasyon ng artificial intelligence. Hamas inilabas na ang listahan ng bagong batch ng hostages na papakawalan sa Sabado. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. ginisa ng Senado sa kanyang unang confirmation hearing. At bilang ng mga namatay sa stampede sa India dumoble. Prime Minister Narendra Modi nagpaabot ng pakikiramay sa mga naapektuhan. Sa 20th National Convention of Lawyers na ginanap sa Cebu City, nanindigan si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na walang blank pages sa Bicameral Conference Committee report tungkol sa 2025 national budget. Sa kanyang talumpati sa harap ng mga abogado at mga matataas na opisyal ng hudikatura, ay sinabi ng Pangulo na sinuri niya ang halos 4,000 pahina ng General Appropriations Act o GAA para sa taong ito. Pero walaan niya siyang nakitang blankong item.
Because you are our agents of justice, who, whether by choice and necessity, have dared to be able to go through voluminous tomes, read through 100-page contracts without falling asleep. And that alone deserves already applause. But let me tell you, as president, I am going to give you a run for your money. Just last month, I had to read 4,057 pages of the General Appropriations Act for 2025 because I reviewed it, analyzed it, and yes, in parts, vetoed it. And so for those of you, and up to now, I cannot find those damned blank items. We'll keep looking, but I really am convinced that they simply do not exist because it is not allowed to exist. So for those of you who think the presidency is just handshakes, photo ops, I assure you that fine print is alive in my office as well.
Samantala, inamin ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. na nabasa niya ang ilang pahina ng petisyon na nakahain sa Korte Suprema na kumukwestiyon sa legalidad ng GAA. Pero sinabi ng Pangulo na ipauubaya na lamang niya sa Office of the Solicitor General ang pagsagot o pagdepensa ng pambansang budget sa kataas-taasang hukuman. Binanggit din niya na walang contingency ang gobyerno sakaling hindi pumabor sa administrasyon ng desisyon ng Korte Suprema. Mangangahulugan niya na magsasara ang lahat sa pamahalaan.
Well, I've read some of the filing, the complaint. Well, the Soljan, of course, will be the ones who will argue for the government. And he tells me, Soljan Maynard tells me that we are on a solid footing in terms of constitutionality. I don't know why they bothered to file that because napakahirap ng kanilang assertion. It clearly doesn't. Well, anyway, it's not for me to make the argument. We'll let the Soljan make the argument before the Supreme Court, and we're very confident that our case is strong.
Pero just in case lang, sir, na po.
Samantala, umaapela ang mga leader ng transport groups ng 2 pisong taas pasahe sa mga jeepney. Ito po ay bilang tugon sa sunod-sunod na oil price hike itong nakalipas na 3 linggo na sinundan lamang nakakarampot na rollback ngayong linggo. Kasama ang Liga ng Transportasyon at mga operators sa Pilipinas sa nakatakda makipagpulong kay Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairperson Chofilo Guadis upang talakayin ang kanilang kahilingan. Ang naturang kahilingan ay para lamang sa isang provisional increase. Sa kasalukuyan ay 13 pesos ang minimum fare para sa mga traditional jeepneys habang 15 pesos para sa mga modern jeepneys. Ayon sa mga eksperto, inestimang nabawasan ng 130 pesos ang arawang kita ng mga jeepney drivers kasunod na rin ng serye ng mga oil price hike na nagsimula ng 2025.
Ipinagmalaki ng Department of Migrant Workers o DMW ang pag-unlad ng Pilipinas sa labor market sa ginanap na Global Labor Market Conference 2025 sa Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Binigyang diin ng DMW ang malaking pag-unlad na naabot ng Pilipinas sa larangan ng employment at labor market sa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Inilahad ng ahensya ang mga inisyatibong ito na nakatuon sa mga kabataan katulad ng Government Internship Program na nakatulong sa higit 220,000 na mga beneficiaries upang makakuha ng karanasan sa trabaho at makapasok sa formal na trabaho. Binanggit din niya ang mga programa o mga program trainings na akma sa pangangailangan ng industriya at ang mga community-based training na nagbibigay naman ng espesyal na kaalaman sa mga Pilipino sa grassroots level. Pinagtibay din ang Pilipinas sa mga bilateral agreements sa mga bansa katulad ng Saudi Arabia, Kuwait at Japan upang matiyak ang kaligtasan ng mga maggagawa at mas maraming oportunidad sa trabaho sa ibang bansa. Ito ay alinsunod na rin sa naging pahayag ni PBBM tungkol sa kahalagahan ng reskilling at upskilling upang matugunan ang mga bagong pangangailangan sa labor market na layuning magbigay naman ng mga kalidad na trabaho habang tinitiyak ang kapakanan, pagpapalakas at seguridad ng mga manggagawang Pilipino.
Nanawagan ng Department of Information and Communications Technology o DICT sa gobyerno na dapat magkaroon ng regulations sa artificial intelligence o AI. Sinabi ni DICT Secretary Ivan John Uy na mahalaga na magkaroon ng balanse ang AI sa pagitan ng innovation at governance. Binalaan din nito ang paghihigpit ng paggamit ng AI ay isang disadvantage sa technological advancement ng bansa. Marapat na isunod ang batas sa ipinatupad na global best practices para magamit ng tama ang makabagong teknolohiya. Mahalagaan niya ang pagkakaroon ng regulations upang hindi maabuso ang paggamit ng nasabing AI.
Muli na namang nakapagtala ang gobyerno ng Pilipinas ng panibagong kaso ng pang-espiya o espionage. Ito ang kinumpirma ng pamunuan ng National Bureau of Investigation o NBI matapos ang nakaraang pagkakaaresto sa umano'y Chinese national spy. Ayon sa ahensya, sangkot sa panibagong kaso ng espionage ang 5 Chinese nationals. Kaugnay nito ay nakatakdang ipresenta ng NBI ang nasabing mga Chinese sa publiko. Inaasahang dadaluhan ito ni Justice Secretary Boying Remulla, Armed Forces of the Philippines o AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner at maging ni Immigration Commissioner Joel Anthony Viado si Santiago. Kamakailan lamang ay naaresto ng NBI katuwang ang AFP ang isang Chinese national na umano'y spy kasama ang 2 Pilipino na sinasabing kasabwat nito. Ayon sa AFP, nabisita na nito ang mga kritikal na lugar sa bansa kabilang na ang mga base ng militar, pantalan, mga paliparan at maging ang mga EDCA sites. Nagbigay ng kondisyon si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sa China. Sinabi niya na ipo-pull out lang niya ang Typhoon missiles ng Estados Unidos sa bansa kung ititigil na ng China ang pang-aangkin sa teritoryo ng Pilipinas. Nanawagan din si Marcos Jr. na itigil na ng China ang panghaharas sa mga mangingisdang Pilipino at pambubuli ng Chinese vessels sa mga sasakyang pandagat ng bansa.
Let's make a deal with China. Stop claiming our territory. Stop harassing our fishermen and let them have a living. Stop ramming our boats. Stop water cannoning our people. Stop firing lasers at us, and stop your aggressive and coercive behavior, and I'll return the Typhoon missiles. Tigil nila yung ginagawa nila, pabalik ko lahat yan. Thank you.
Gaya rin ng maraming Pilipino, hindi maintindihan ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang mga naging pahayag ng China ukol sa US Typhoon missiles na nasa teritoryo ng Pilipinas. Matatandaang nanawagan si Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning sa gobyerno ni Marcos Jr. na itama raw nito ang maling ginawa nito sa lalong madaling panahon sa pamamagitan ng pag-pull out ng US missile launchers na dineploy o ni-redeploy noong nakaraang linggo. Para sa Beijing, delikado raw ang paglalagay ng nasabing strategic at offensive na armas sa Southeast Asia, ang rehiyong kinabibilangan ng Pilipinas sa China. Tataas lamang daw ang tensyon sa rehiyon dahil sa redeployment ng US missile system sa Pilipinas at mag-uudyok daw ito ng isang arms race.
关于美国在菲律宾部署中岛，中方已经多次阐明了坚决反对的严正立场。我想再次强调，菲方引入中岛系统这一战略性、进攻性武器，制造地区紧张对立、挑动地缘对抗和军备竞赛，是非常危险的举动，也是对本国和东南亚各国人民、对地区安全极不负责任的选择。我们再次敦促菲方正视地区国家和人民的呼声，尽早纠正错误做法，按此前公开承诺，尽快撤走第一封中岛系统，不要在错误的道路上越走越远。
Dinipensahan naman ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang aksyon ng Pilipinas laban sa mga pahayag ng China at sinabing hindi nga nagkokomento ang kanyang administrasyon sa missile systems ng Beijing. Samantalang mas malalakas pa ang mga armas na ito kumpara sa gamit ng Pilipinas.
I don't understand the comments on the Typhoon missile system. We don't make any comments on their missile systems, and their missile systems are 1,000 times more powerful than what we have. So I don't understand.
At hindi nagpatinag ang Pilipinas sa puwersa ng Chinese Coast Guard o CCG sa West Philippine Sea. Kada oras ay walang sawang nagpadala ng radio challenges sa mga tauhan ng BRP Teresa Magbanwa sa CCG Vessel 3304 na nasa loob ng Exclusive Economic Zone ng Pilipinas. Pinaalala ng Philippine Coast Guard o PCG sa mga tauhan ng naturang Chinese vessel na iligal ang presensya nito sa karagatan ng bansa at lumalabag nila sila sa Philippine Maritime Zones Act, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea at maging sa 2016 Arbitral Award.
3304. This is Philippine Coast Guard vessel BRP Teresa Magbanwa MRRV 9701. In accordance with the Republic Act 12064, the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea to which you are a party, and the 2016 Arbitral Award, we are conducting maritime law enforcement operation. You are advised that you are currently sailing within the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone, approximately 86 nautical miles west of Capones Point, Zambales, Philippines. You do not possess any legal authority to patrol within the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone. You are directed to depart immediately and notify us of your intention. Your illegal activity will be reported to higher authorities. Over.
Dahil sa mahigpit na pagbabantay ng BRP Teresa Magbanwa at aktibong radio challenges ng PCG, ay tuluyan itong naitaboy ang barko ng China palayo ng Zambales. Sa iba pa mga balita, bahagyang nilimitahan ng Japan ang visa slots para sa mga Pilipino, kasunod na rin ang paglobo ng bilang ng mga turista sa naturang bansa. Batay sa abisong inilabas ng Japanese Embassy dito sa Pilipinas, hinihimok na ang mga Pinoy na isumite ang kanilang tourist visa application ng 2 buwang advanced. Ito ay doble sa dating rekomendasyon ng embahada. Sa pamamagitan nito ay umaasa ang embahadang bahagyang mapigilan ang paglobo ng mga turista. Ayon sa ilang travel agency officials dito sa bansa, inaasahang hanggang 50% ang ibababa ng daily visa application para sa mga Pinoy na nagnanais na makapunta sa Japan. Susunod, pagkakakilanlan ng mga bagong bihag na palalayain ng Hamas, inilabas na.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. kinutya sa kanyang unang confirmation hearing.
At isang passenger plane at isang Black Hawk down nagsalpukan sa Washington, D.C. Mga detalye po na mga balitang yan at iba pa mga balita sa pagbabalik na Mata ng Agila International.
This sport. Excited ka na bang malaman kung ikaw ang nanalo ng mga exciting prizes na ito sa ating Net25 Selfie with the Agila promo? Abangan ang nalalapit na announcement ng winners sa Love, Tony Pet, and Everything. Kada umaga, ESPN, sa ganang mamamayan at Mata ng Agila Primetime. Kaya naman tumutok lang dito sa Net25.
Miyerkules, formal lang ipinahayag ng Economic Community of West Africa States o ECOWAS ang pagkalas ng Mali, Burkina Faso at Niger sa samahan. Si Yolanda Aspiras para sa balita.
Ang mga estado ng Mali, Burkina Faso at Niger ay formal nang umalis sa ECOWAS noong Miyerkules.
As you all know, today, 29 January 2025, Burkina Faso, the Republic of Mali, the Republic of Niger have formally ceased to be members of the Economic Community of West African States. This followed the notification the Commission received from the three countries in January 2024 regarding their decision an intention to withdraw from the community.
Nitong nakaraang 5 taon, sumailalim sa batas militar ang ilang bansang kabilang sa ECOWAS na may 15 miyembro. Ito ay dahil sa sunod-sunod na coups sa rehiyon ng West Africa. Nitong Enero, ipinahayag ng 3 estado ang kanilang pagkalas sa ECOWAS matapos nitong hingin ang pagbabalik ng pamumunong demokratiko sa Niger na sumailalim sa isang military coup sa Niger noong 2023. Kasunod nito, bumuo ng alyansa ng estadong Sahel ang 3 bansa, isang alternatibong samahan. Naglunsad din ang mga ito ng kanilang sariling biometric passports. Noong Miyerkules, sinabi ng ECOWAS na pansamantalang nagkasundo ang mga natitirang miyembro nito na panatilihing bukas ang West Africa Bloc. Ito ay sa pagkilala sa pambansang mga pasaporte at pagkilala bitbit ang logo ng ECOWAS mula sa mga bansa. Ito ay upang ipagpatuloy ang kalakalan batay sa kasalukuyang kasunduan pangrehiyon. Gayon din ang pagpapatuloy ng diplomatikong kooperasyon ng mga bansa.
National passports and identity cards bearing ECOWAS logo and which are being held by citizens of the three countries, Burkina Faso, Republic of Mali, and the Republic of Niger, will remain recognized by ECOWAS member states until further notice. ECOWAS member states will also continue to treat goods and services coming from the three countries in accordance with the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme and investment policy until further notice. ECOWAS member states will also continue to allow citizens of the three affected countries to continue to enjoy the right of visa-free movement, residence and establishment in accordance with the ECOWAS protocols until further notice.
Noong Disyembre 2024, binigyan ng ECOWAS ang Mali, Burkina Faso at Niger ng 6 na buwang palugit upang pag-isipan ang kanilang pagkalas. Yolanda Aspiras para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Inatake naman ng mga nanggagala-iting Congolese protesters ang mga embahada sa Kinshasa. Target ng mga demonstrador ang mga embahada sa paniniwalang walang ginagawa ang mga ito laban sa pagsuporta ng Rwanda sa mga rebeldeng sumakop na sa bayan ng Goma. Tony Rose Valenzuela po para sa balitang yan.
Noong Martes, tinirgas ng kapulisan sa Democratic Republic of Congo o DRC ang mga demonstrador sa kabisera nitong Kinshasa. Ito ay matapos atakihin ng mga nagpo-protesta ang mga embahada dahil sa kawalan ng aksyon ng mga ito sa kaguluhang nagaganap sa silangang bahagi ng bansa. Ayon sa isang diplomat, kasama sa mga inataking embahada ay sa France, Estados Unidos, Rwanda, Uganda at Kenya. Sa isang expose, kinumpirma ni French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot na inataking nga ang embahada nito sa Kinshasa at bahagyang umapoy. Para sa mga demonstrador, pagod na ang mga mamamayan ng Congo.
Tout cela, c'est que le Rwanda est en train de faire, c'est une complicité avec la France, la Belgique, les États-Unis d'Amérique et d'autres. Alors, les Congolais sont fatigués. On doit mourir combien de fois et par combien de jours?
Hiling nila ay lisanin ng mga rebelde ang Goma at ang kanilang buong bayan.
Nous revendiquons notre liberté sur notre sol, sur tous les plans. Et nous voulons que les rebelles qui se trouvent à l'est puissent quitter notre pays. Dans toute l'intégralité de la ville de Goma, qu'ils rentrent chez eux.
At dahil para sa kanila, labis na ang kanilang paghihirap, handaan niya silang lumaban sa Rwanda.
Uganda, Tshisekedi, oyebisa biso soki lisasi moko na Goma tokende. Peuple congolais toza derrière yo chef de l'État. Tokende tobunana Rwanda.
Tony Rose Valenzuela para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Isang taon matapos ngang ipahayag na lilisanin na nilang ECOWAS, formal nang itinuloy ng Niger, Burkina Faso at Mali ang pag-atras sa regional bloc noong Martes. Libu-libu katao ang nagdiwang dahil sa pag-alis ng Sahel states. Si Emika Pirita-Roja para sa detalye ng balita.
Noong 28 ng Enero 2023, unang nagdeklara ang tatlong bayan sa rehiyon ng Sahel, Niger, Burkina Faso at Mali ng intensyon nitong umalis na sa ECOWAS. Ang tatlong bansang ito ay nasa ilalim ng batas militar at naniniwalang bigo ang ECOWAS sa pagsuporta nito laban sa terorismo at iligal na pamumuno. At ngayong pinangatawanan na ng tatlong bayan ang pagkalas sa regional bloc, libo-libo ang nagtungo sa mga kalsada ng Niamey at Ouagadougou upang ipagdiwang ang desisyon.
Nous avons compris que cette CEDEAO qui a été créée, une CEDEAO de peuple, ne sert plus le peuple. il sert un maître qui est hors de la CEDEAO, c'est-à-dire l'impérialisme. Vous n'êtes pas sans savoir qu'après le changement de régime du Mali, du Burkina, du Niger, la CEDEAO a créé une force en attente pour dire qu'ils vont attaquer un pays membre fondateur de la CEDEAO. Alors que cette force en attente devrait réagir depuis les premières heures où le terrorisme nous a rendu la vie impossible. Cette marche a fait les yeux fermés, ils se sont mis à l'écart, continuent à servir l'impérialisme. Aujourd'hui, nous avons compris que seule la lutte libère.
Ang mga bansang Niger, Burkina Faso at Mali ay sumandal na sa Russia upang tulungan sila laban sa Islamist insurgencies. Pinagtibay noong 1975 upang isulong ang regional integration, humaharap ngayon ng ECOWAS sa paghina ng suporta. Ang formal na pagkalas ng tatlong bansa ay sinasabing maaaring makaapekto sa kalakalan, kooperasyong pangsiguridad at mga hakbang tungo sa demokrasya sa Sahel. Ngunit para sa mga demonstrador, handa silang protektahan ang kanilang kasarinlan.
Nous n'avons peur d'aucune décision. Nous sommes prêts à tout. Nous sommes prêts pour notre souveraineté. Quelle que soit la décision que la CEDEAO va prendre à notre encontre, nous allons vivre car le peuple est avec nos trois dirigeants.
Para sa kanila, ang pagiging kaalyado ng ibang bansa sa rehiyon ay nakaraan na.
La CEDEAO, nous on sent qu'à partir d'aujourd'hui, on ne parle plus de CEDEAO. Ça, c'est du passé. On ne revient plus là-dessus.
Emika Pilita Roja para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Inilunsad ng Royal Jordanian Air Force ang isang humanitarian air bridge operation upang maghatid ng tulong sa Gaza. Narito po ang mga detalye mula kay Leslie Gumarang.
Araw-araw may lalapag na humanitarian aid para sa Gaza, lula ng Black Hawk helicopters sa Kisa Film Crossing sa Israel.
نستأنف اليوم الجسر الجوي الإنساني بتوجيهات ملكية سامية ولمدة 8 أيام. كل يوم من هذه الأيام سيتم خلاله تنفيذ 16 رحلة جوية بطائرات من نوع بلاك هوك تابعة لسلاح الجو الملكي الأردني.
Ang inisyatibong ito ay dahil sa kahindik-hindik na sitwasyon sa teritoryo na ayon kay Jordanian State for Media Affairs Minister Mohammed Al-Momani ay nasa nakakakilabot na estado ng pagkawasak at paghihirap.
بالتأكيد مزيد من المساعدات مطلوب للشعب الفلسطيني في غزة. هنالك حالة مرعبة من الدمار، هنالك حالة مرعبة من المعاناة التي يعيشها الشعب الفلسطيني. نحتاج لمزيد. ما يتم إرساله الآن أفضل بكثير من السابق.
Samantala, binigyan diin ng hepe ng Jordan Hashemite Charity Organization ang kahalagahan ng air bridge upang makapag-deliver ng agarang tulong sa mga ospital sa Gaza.
اللجوء إلى مثل هذه الوسيلة لتأمين المساعدات المطلوبة بصورة أسرع وأيضا بعض المواد اللي مطلوبة بصورة عاجلة داخل القطاع اللي يتم تأمينها إلى مستشفيات القطاع بشكل عام من خلال الوكالات الأممية اللي نعمل بالشراكة معها داخل.
Ang mga mabilisang aksyon tulad nito ay matapos magkasundo ang mga partido para sa tigil putukan makalipas ang 15 buwang labanan sa pagitan ng Israel at Hamas. Giyerang puminsala hindi lamang sa Gaza kundi pati sa daan-daang libong residente nito. Ang masalimuot na kasunduan ay isasagawa sa 6 na paunang yugto. Kasama ang unti-unting pag-atras ng pwersang Israel sa Gaza Strip kung saan libo-libo ang namatay. Dagdag dito, pakakawalan ng Hamas ang mga bihag nito kapalit ng Palestinian prisoners na hawak naman ng Israel. Leslie Gumarang para sa mata ng Agila International, Trusted, Connected, On Point.
Inilabas na ng Israel ang pagkakakilanlan ng mga bihag na nakatakdang pakawala ng Hamas sa araw ng Biyernes.
On the hostage release agreement, yesterday evening the Prime Minister led vigorous and determined negotiations to secure the release of our civilian, Arbel Yehud, and a female soldier, Agam Belger, Together with an additional hostage, Hamas had backtracked on the agreement by not releasing al-Bel as they had agreed originally. Subsequently, an additional phase of hostage releases are scheduled to take place this Thursday. Following the settling of this violation, Israel this morning agreed to the passage of Gazan residents to the north of Gaza. In accordance with the agreement, 3 additional hostages will be released this Saturday.
Ayon sa Israeli Prime Minister's Office, kabilang napapakawalan nila ang 5 Thai nationals. Ang 3 Israelis ay kinilala na sina Arbel Yehud, 29 anyos, si Agam Berger, 19 anyos, at si Gadi Moses, 80 anyos. Si Yehud ay dinukot sa bahay nito kasama ang partner nitong si Ariel Cunyo, habang si Moses naman na isang agronomist ay dinukot sa kibbutz community, at si Berger na isang sundalo ng Israel ay dinukot sa pagsalakay ng Hamas sa isang military base. Mayroong kabuuang 33 Israeli hostages na dinukot ng mga Hamas noong October 7, 2023 attacks at ang kanilang nakatakdang pakawalan sa Phase 1 ng ceasefire deal sa pagitan ng Hamas at Israel. Sinabi pa ni Israeli government spokesperson David Mencer na ang 8 natitirang Israeli hostages ay mga namatay na.
I can confirm that Israel has received from the Hamas terrorist organization, a list that includes the status of all of the 33 hostages due to be released in this first stage. The list from Hamas matches Israel's intelligence. So I can share with you that 25 of our hostages are alive and 8 have been killed by Hamas.
Kabilang sa unang bahagi ng kasunduan ay magpapakawala ang Israel ng 2,000 mga Palestinian prisoners kung saan natapos na ang 2 rounds ng pagpapakawala ng mga bihag. Magugunitang na magitan ng US, Egypt at Qatar para isulong ang ceasefire deal sa pagitan ng Israel at Hamas.
Nagbigay naman ng 2 araw na palugit ang Israel sa United Nations Relief and Works Agency o UNRWA upang itigil na ang operasyon nito roon. Narito po ang balita mula kay Michelle Verzunilla.
Ayon kay Israeli UN Ambassador Danny Danon, may 48 oras na lamang mayroon ang UNRWA upang tapusin ang mga gawain nito sa Israel.
Good morning. I hereby inform the United Nations and the Security Council that the legislation concerning UNRWA's activities in Israel will officially come into force in 48 hours on January 30. In accordance with applicable Israeli law and following the termination of the provisional agreement, UNRWA must cease its operations and evacuate all premises it operates in Jerusalem.
Noong isang taon, nagpasa ng batas ang Israel ukol sa pagpapatalsik sa ahensya at pagbabawal sa sinumang otoridad ng bansa na makipag-ugnayan dito. Ayon kay Danon, hindi madali ang naging pasyang ito.
The legislation forbids UNRWA from operating within the sovereign territory of the State of Israel and forbids any contact between Israeli officials and UNRWA. Furthermore, UNRWA would be prohibited from maintaining any representative, office, service, or activity within our territory. Israel will terminate all collaboration, communication, and contact with UNRWA or anyone acting on its behalf. This decision was not made lightly, nor was it made quickly.
Ang ban na ito ng Israel ay para lamang sa Israeli territory, kasama rito ang silangang Jerusalem. Nag-oopera rin ang UNRWA sa occupied West Bank at Gaza. Subalit hindi malinaw kung apektado ito ng batas na ipanatutupad ngayon ng Israel. Sineserbisyuhan ng UNRWA ang may 750,000 na Palestinian refugees mula noong 1948 nang itatag ang Estado ng Israel. Para sa gobyerno ng Israel, laban ang UNRWA sa bansa. Ayon kay Danon, pumalya ang ahensya sa pagtupad ng mandato nito.
This decision also reflects the reality of the situation that UNRWA has miserably failed in its mandate, and it has failed the people who were supposed to benefit from its services. More precisely, this decision was driven by UNRWA's constant refusal to address the widespread infiltration of its ranks by Hamas and other terrorist organizations. No sovereign state should facilitate the operations of an agency that threatens its national security and blatantly violates its laws. Israel remains committed to its obligations under international law, and we reaffirm our readiness to cooperate with other UN agencies that are not tainted by terror.
Samantala, tinatanggihan ng United Nations ang mga akusasyon ng bias. Ayon sa UN, hindi mapapalitan ang ilang dekadang kasanayan ng UNRWA, partikular na sa Gaza. Michelle Verzonilla, para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected on point.
Idineklara ng presidente ng Syria si HTS leader Ahmed al-Sharaa habang dumaraan sa transitional phase ang bansa.
أن يملأ فراغ السلطة بشكل شرعي وقانوني. ثانياً أن يحافظ على السلم الأهلي من خلال السعي لتحقيق العدالة الانتقالية ومنع مظاهر الانتقام عن كاهل الشام غبار الذل والهوان وأشرف الرائع التي يتذرع بها المجتمع.
Inatasan din ng gobyerno ng Syria si Sharaa na bumuo ng isang temporary legislative council na mamamahala sa naturang transitional period ng bansa habang hindi pa nailalabas ang bagong saligang batas doon. Ang naturang desisyon ay nanggaling sa pinagsamang koalisyon ng mga kaalyadong mambabatas na kumalas sa administrasyon ni Bashar al-Assad at mga namumuno sa paksyon ni Sharaa na Hayat Tahrir al-Sham o HTS. Nais ng koalisyon na mairaos ng transition period upang formal lang maitalaga ang kanilang gobyerno sa legal na pamamaraan. Dagdag pa ni Sharaa ay ninanais niyang panatilihin ang kapayapaang nakamit ng Syria sa mga nangyari ilang buwan lamang ang nakalipas at gusto nitong iwasan ang mga aksyon na maaaring tawaging paghihiganti laban sa rehimen ni al-Assad.
أن تبنى مؤسسات الدولة وعلى رأسها العسكرية والأمنية والشرطية. أن يعمل على بناء بنية اقتصادية تنموية تعنى بإعادة تأسيس الموارد البشرية والزراعة والصناعة وقطاع الخدمات.
Samantala, ayon po sa ilang political analysts, nalalagay sa isang loyalty test ang mga mambabatas na Republicans dahil sa confirmation hearing ni Robert F. Kennedy Jr. o si RFK Jr. bilang Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services. Ito ay matapos gisahin ng Democrat Senator si Kennedy ukol sa paniniwala nito hinggil sa vaccines. Sa kanyang pagsagot ay paulit-ulit na sinabi ni Kennedy na hindi siya anti-vaccine o laban sa pagpapabakuna. Kinastiko niya rin ang mga Democrat Senators dahil sa hindi makatotohanang salaysay ng mga ito laban sa kanya. Iginiit kasi ng mga senador na kinwestiyon dati ni Kennedy ang COVID vaccines at iba pang mga bakuna. Subalit, pinaliwanag naman ni RFK Jr. na hindi siya laban sa vaccine industry. Anya, mahalaga ang bakuna sa healthcare at binanggit niya na pinabakunahan niya ang sarili niyang mga anak. Sinabi rin ni Kennedy na nais niyang wakasan ang mga chronic diseases at ayusin ang U.S. drugs regulator and industry. Kailangan ni Kennedy ang suporta ng hindi bababa sa 50 senador. Ito ay magbibigay sa U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance ng tie-breaking vote upang makumpirma ang kanyang nominasyon. Bandang alas 9 ng gabi noong Miyerkules sa kabisera ng Estados Unidos ng Washington, D.C., isang U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter at isang American Airlines passenger jet ang nagsalpukan sa ere at parehong sumabog. Nangyari ito malapit sa Reagan Washington National Airport kung saan lalapag sana ang American Airlines plane. Ayon sa U.S. Federal Aviation Administration o FAA, isang Pacific Southwest Airlines o PSA regional jet ang sumalpok sa isang Black Hawk helicopter. Makikita sa webcam na parehong bumagsak ang eroplano at helicopter sa Potomac River.
Kinumpirma ng American Airlines na 64 katao ang lulan ng eroplano, 6 na po ang pasahero at 4 ang crew members nito. Samantala, ayon naman sa isang opisyal, 3 sundalo ang nakasakay sa helicopter. Sinabi ng US Army, ang helicopter ay isang Army UH-60 helicopter mula sa Fort Belvoir. Iba't ibang ahensya ang sumama sa search and rescue operation sa Potomac River. Ilang katawan na rin ang narecover sa ilog, subalit hindi pa naglalabas ng opisyal na bilang ng mga nasawi ang US Army. Bandang 1:00 ng madaling araw doon ay wala pang survivor na nakikita. Pinangangambahan na dahil sa napakalamig na tubig na nasa 42.4 degrees Fahrenheit o 5.5 degrees Celsius ay mauuwi na lamang sa search and recovery ang operasyon.
Susunod, bilang ng mga taong nasawi sa stampede sa India, dumoble na.
Spanish Coast Guard nagsalba ng migrante sa Canary Islands.
At jersey number ni Iguodala, ireretiro na ng Golden State Warriors. Mga balita po nga natin babasa pagbabalik pa rin na mata ng Agila International.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka nang mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Umabot na sa 30 katao ang nasawi sa naganap na stampede sa India.
मैं महाकुंभ में जो दुखद हादसा हुआ है, उस हादसे में हमें कुछ पुण्यात्माओं को खोना पड़ा है। कई लोगों को चोटें भी आई हैं। मैं प्रभावित परिवारों के प्रति संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं और घायलों के जल्द स्वस्थ होने की कामना करता हूं।
Hindi naman bababa sa 60 kataong iba pa ang nasugatan sa insidente. Ayon sa mga opisyal, hindi bababa sa 100 milyong katao ang dumalo sa major Indian event. Sa inisyal na investigasyon ng mga otoridad ay sinira ng ilang mga tao ang nakaharang na barrier para makaligo sa ilog. Ang nasabing okasyon ay kinukonsidera bilang pinakamalaki at pinakamapayapang kaganapan doon kada taon. Sa mahigit 6 na linggo ay umabot na sa 400 milyong katao ang dumalo sa Maha Kumbh Mela sa gilid ng Prayagraj. Itinanggi naman ng mga kapulisan na nagkulang sila sa pagbibigay ng seguridad dahil naglagay din ang mga ito ng mga security cameras sa lugar. Nagpaabot naman ng pakikiramay si Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi sa mga kaanak ng mga nasawing biktima.
मैं यूपी सरकार के साथ निरंतर संपर्क में हूं। मौनी अमावस्या की वजह से करोड़ों श्रद्धालु आज वहां पहुंचे हुए हैं। कुछ समय के लिए स्नान की प्रक्रिया में रुकावटें आई थी, लेकिन अब कई घंटों से सुचारू रूप से यात्री स्नान कर रहे हैं।
Samantala patay ang 20 katao matapos ang pagbagsak ng sinakyan nilang eroplano sa South Sudan. Ang maliit na pampasaherong eroplano ay bumagsak sa Unity Oil Field Airport kung saan patungo sana ito sa Juba, ang capital city ng South Sudan. Karamihan sa mga pasahero ay oil workers sa Greater Pioneer Operating Company. Kabilang po sa mga nasawi ang 2 Chinese nationals at 1 Indian. Patuloy na inaalam ng mga otoridad ang pinakasanhi ng nasabing pagbagsak ng eroplano.
62 migrante ang isinalba ng Spanish Coast Guard sa baybayin ng Canary Islands. Dinala ang mga ito sa Arguineguín Port sa Gran Canaria. Cherry Recolizado para sa karagdagang detalye.
Ang 62 naisalbang mga migrante ay puro kalalakihan, 4 ang menor de edad. Ito ay ayon sa Red Cross, sinagip ang mga ito 10 milya ang layo sa Canary Islands. Sa kasalukuyan, 7 isla ng Espanya sa baybayin ng Atlantic Coast ng Northwestern Africa ay nahihirapan sa pagtanggap ng bukso ng tinatawag na irregular migrants. Ang mga ito ay karamihang nagmumula sa Mali, Senegal at Morocco. Tinamaan ang Spanish archipelago ng pinakamataas na pagdaong ng migrants, 2 taong magkasunod. Ayon sa datos, noong 2024, halos 47,000 ang dumaong dito, 73% ay sa Spain napunta. Nitong 2025, may 3,223 na mga migrante ang nakarating sa Canary Islands. Cherry Recolizado para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Patuloy naman po ang pagsisikap ng search and rescue team na iligtas ang isang driver ng truck na natrap sa isang sinkhole sa Japan. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, wala pang kasiguraduhan kung buhay pa ang biktima dahil 3 araw na itong trap sa sinkhole. Sa isang footage ay mapapansing lalong lumaki ang butas sa kalsada, kaya hirap din ng mga otoridad na matukoy kung nasaan ang eksakto lokasyon ng nahulog na driver.
Ipinagtanggol ng White House ang ilang mga polisiya na ipinatupad ni US President Donald Trump.
He is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal. And so, therefore, you are subject to deportation.
I apologize for interrupting. So, to be clear, it's not violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said 2 things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country, that the Senate continues to confirm the remainder of the president's well-qualified nominees.
Sa kauna-unahang briefing ng White House na pinangunahan ni White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt matapos ang isang linggo mula nang maupo si Trump, ay inisa-isa nito ang mga hakbang ng administrasyon ni Trump. Una rito ay ang pagpapalaya sa mga migrants kung saan tanging layo ng gobyerno ay tuluyang mapaalis ang mga migrants na nahaharap sa kaso. Ipinagtanggol ni Leavitt ang mapang-aping deportation policy ni Donald Trump na nagtamo naman sa kaliwat kanan na batikos mula sa iba't ibang sektor at bansa.
It is imperative that the Senate continues to confirm the remainder of the president's well-qualified nominees as quickly as possible. As you have seen during the past week, President Trump is hard at work fulfilling the promises that he made to the American people on the campaign trail. Since taking the oath of office, President Trump has taken more than 300 executive actions, secured nearly $1 trillion in U.S. investments, deported illegal alien rapists, gang members, and suspected terrorists from our homeland, and restored common sense to the federal government.
Ipinagmalaki pa ni Leavitt ang naging panandaliang engkwentro ng Estados Unidos at Colombia dahil sa naturang polisiya. Ilang araw lang ang makalipas ay nagkasagutan si Colombian President Gustavo Petro at Donald Trump dahil sa ura-uradang pagpapadala ng mga migrante galing Colombia pabalik sa kanilang bansa. Ani Petro ay dapat bigyan ng dignidad ang mga migrante at tratuhin bilang tao at hindi mga kriminal. Nagkasundo ang dalawang kampo matapos magbanta si Trump na magpapatupad ito ng polisiya na magpipigil sa visa processing ng mga Colombians at papatawan ng karagdagang 25% tariffs ang mga produkto nito. Sa ngayon ay nakauwi ng ligtas ang mga Colombian migrants.
When President Trump swiftly directed his team to issue harsh and effective sanctions and tariffs on the Colombian government, upon hearing they were denied a U.S. military aircraft full of their own citizens who were deported by this administration. Within hours, the Colombian government agreed to all of President Trump's demands, proving America is once again respected on the world stage.
Maging ang pansamantalang pagtigil sa federal funding ay sinabi niyang hindi maaapektuhan ang mga direct assistance sa mga mamamayan ng Estados Unidos.
This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that.
Naniniwala naman si US President Donald Trump na dapat ay napigilan ang salpukan sa ere ng dalawang aircraft sa Reagan National Airport. Sa kanyang panibagong pahayag ay sinabi ni Trump na the airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Subalit, napatanong si Trump kung bakit hindi lumipad sa taas o bumaba ang lumihis ang eroplano. Bakit din anya hindi pinayuhan ng control tower ang helicopter kung anong dapat gawin kung nakita nito ang eroplano. Ito anya ay isang masamang sitwasyon na mukhang dapat ay napigilan. Sinuportahan ni Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy ang pahayag ni Trump. Subalit, tumanggi ito nga magbigay ng mga bagong detalye maliban sa mayroon anyang communication and control tower sa dalawang aircraft.
Last night, if you live in the DC area, you would know.
Kinumpirma ni Coach Tim Cohn na tuloy pa rin ang paghahanda ng Gilas Pilipinas sa kabila ng unang napaulat na hindi muna maisasama sa lineup ang player na si Kai Soto. Kung saan Sinabi naman na naturang head coach ng pambansang koponan na wala umano silang sasayanging oras sa kanilang mga inilatag na schedule ng laro. Kasabay nito ang pag-amin ni Coach Tim Cone na magiging mahirap ang pagdaraanan ng Gilas dahil sa magkakasunod itong mga schedules ng paglipad sa iba't ibang bansa. Ibinahagi rin ni Cone na pinangangambahan niya umano ang posibilidad na baka kulangin din sila ng oras ng pag-iensayo sa pagsabak muli ng Gilas sa FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Paliwanag niya ang kanilang schedule sa Agosto ay 5 araw lamang na preparasyon bago ang mismong araw ng laro. Ito ay sa kabila ng kanyang pagkalungkot nang ipamalita na hindi muna pala makakasama si Kai Soto sa paglalaro dahil sa injury.
Nakatakdang iretiro na ng Golden State Warriors ang number 9 jersey ni Iguodala. Ayon sa koponan, isasagawa ito sa laban nila ng Dallas Mavericks sa darating na Pebrero 23. Isinagawa ang anunsyo kasabay ng ika-41 kaarawan ni Iguodala. Ang 6'6" player ay siyang pang-7 manlalaro sa kasaysayan ng Warriors na magsasabit na ng kanyang jersey. Kasama niya sina Will Chamberlain, Chris Mullin, Nate Thurmond, Alvin Adels, Rick Barry at Tom Meschery. Kasama siya ng magkampiyon ang Warriors taong 2015, 2017, 2018 at 2022 kung saan nakuha niya ang Finals Most Valuable Player Awards noong sa unang kampyonato ng koponan. Nagretiro si Iguodala noong October 2023 matapos ang ilang injuries na tinamo nito. Sa ibang balita, wagi ang Team Japan sa Biennial International Pastry Contest matapos talunin nito sa kanilang home court ang Team France. Pinahanga kasi ng Team Japan ang mga hurado mula sa 26th Street food-inspired chocolate treats nito. Ang Pastry World Cup ay ginanap sa Lyon, France nitong January 20 at 21 kung saan ang bawat team ay may 3 miyembro. Tag-isang mga espesyalista sa chocolate, ice at sugar. Inaasahan na itatampok ng mga kalahok ang kanilang pinaka-best na desserts na magre-represent sa kanilang bansa. Bibigyan ang mga ito ng 5 oras para maihanda ang judging table ng kanilang mga delicacies. Huhusgahan naman ng mga judge ang bawat dishes mula sa category na frozen dessert, restaurant dessert at chocolate.
At 2 giant pandas naman na nag-debut nitong Enero 24 sa Smithsonian National Zoo sa Washington, D.C. Simbolo po ito na matatag na pagkakaibigan ng Estados Unidos at ng China gamit ang kanilang partnership deal sa pag-aalaga sa malalaking panda. Ito na dati-rati endangered na. Kamustahin natin sina Bao Lee at King Bao kay Net25 correspondent Ronaldo Gonzalez.
In April of 1972, through the help of the People's Republic of China, the first pair of giant pandas arrived here in D.C. The history of the giant panda on U.S. soil spans nearly a century. This in hopes of helping with the conservation, research, and protection of these curious and playful bears.
The panda's features are commonly known, with white fur and black patches on its ears, eye patches, muzzle, legs, and shoulders. Its features make them easily identifiable.
What I like about the pandas the most is the way that they are very chill and lazy, and all they eat is bamboo, and they think that's like the most amazing meal ever, even though it has little to no nutritional value.
The National Zoo with the China Wildlife Conservation Association entered a loan agreement effective through April 2034. During the panda's DC residency, the National Zoo will pay the association a $1 million annual fee.
I think it's really cool that China and the United States are working together to conserve animals because it's such an interesting and a fun take in, preserving diplomatic relationships while also providing, visitors a chance to learn more about cultures and pandas in general. And also it's a really good and fun activity for the family as well.
Any cubs born from the pair will be transferred to China at the age of 4. The conservation status of the giant panda has improved from endangered to vulnerable. The species is still at risk for extinction, but through continued efforts such as those here at the National Zoo, the giant panda's future is more secure.
From the Smithsonian National Zoo here in Washington, D.C., Ronaldo Gonzalez for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako na mundo. Magandang gabi po, ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores, ito pa rin ang Mata ng Agila International. Para pa po sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari din sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa Mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for Net 25 World News. On tonight's headlines. Tragedy strikes the nation's capital as an American Airlines regional jet carrying 64 people collides with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport. Multiple casualties are feared in this developing story. In diplomatic news, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. announces plans to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump. Immigration policy tops their agenda as decisions from Washington could affect countless Filipino families across America. And finally tonight, a transformation at the Louvre Museum in Paris, where the world's most famous smile is getting a new look after centuries of drawing millions to see her mysterious expression. The Mona Lisa's viewing experience is about to change dramatically. And the news starts now. We begin with breaking news from the United States. A devastating mid-air collision over the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. A regional American Airlines passenger jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter crashed into the icy waters near Reagan National Airport late Wednesday night. Now, officials have not confirmed the exact number of casualties, but fears are growing that no one survived. Take a look.
Multiple deaths have been reported after a passenger jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter collided mid-air and crashed into the Potomac River Wednesday night near Reagan Washington National Airport. Police said several agencies were involved in a search and rescue operation in the river. The airport said late on Wednesday that all takeoffs and landings had been halted as emergency personnel responded. The Federal Aviation Authority said PSA Airlines was operating a regional flight for American Airlines, which had departed from Wichita, Kansas. American Airlines said 60 passengers and 4 crew were on the plane. A U.S. official said 3 soldiers were aboard the helicopter.
All we can confirm tonight is the number of people on each aircraft, 64 people on the American Airlines plane and 3 people on the military helicopter. When we can't provide any more information about recovery efforts. The focus now is rescuing people, and that's what all of our personnel are focused on.
It's an active operation that's going to last many hours as we continue to work through recovery efforts and rescue operations. This will be ongoing for quite a while. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families and our communities, and we appreciate all DC's support to our agency and our federal partners.
There were no confirmed reports of survivors, and CBS News said at least 18 bodies had been pulled from the water. Officials said they were still in rescue mode. Reuters White House reporter Trevor Honeycutt was at the airport.
As I'm here, I'm seeing relatives trickle in little by little through the night with no answers about what has happened to their relatives. They are just looking for information, and for the most part, they are not finding it here at the area where they are all being staged with other friends and family members who are looking for their loved ones.
In a post on social media, U.S. President Donald Trump asked why the crash wasn't averted. He called it a, quote, bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented.
The recovery or salvage
operation is as stressful as you can get. Nighttime, freezing cold water. The only positive is that you've got lots of assets around you. It's not as though it's a remote location, and but certainly the recovery is a very testing situation for those first responders. My analysis is that the CRJ 700, the American Airlines flight, was complying with air traffic control directions to land at Reagan National Airport on the Potomac River. The Black Hawk helicopter, US Army, had taken off in close proximity, and it had made 6 course changes as it climbed in altitude before it impacted the CRJ at about 350 feet off the Potomac River. What that tells me is that this was a training flight of the helicopter. It apparently did not have its ADSB tracking system turned on. This is the signal that's sent out to air traffic control to track aircraft, and it also is a vital component of another system called TCAS, which is Traffic Collision Avoidance System, fitted to all commercial aircraft and military aircraft, which alerts them to other aircraft on a collision course, but the ADSB must be turned on. It's quite possible that this training flight of this Black Hawk helicopter was a covert style training mission of going black, if you like, and not having any electronic tracking turned on, and a tragic error of doing this around an airport, an active airport. I mean, if they're going to do that sort of training, it should be done well away from an active airport like Reagan National. President Trump, in my view, is right when it comes to the helicopter crew. I think we will find it was their fault. But if they were not, as we are told, broadcasting their ADSB signal, then air traffic control wouldn't pick them up either. Now, yes, it was a clear night, but it's very, very difficult to see a relatively small helicopter at nighttime. And don't forget, they're flying at a low altitude, a couple of 100 feet for most of that prior to the impact. And there are so many lights all around. This airport is in the middle of Washington, D.C. It's not in a black, out in a remote area where a single light would be very visible. There's lights everywhere. And having flown many times in the cockpit of aircraft, at nighttime, it is exceedingly difficult to pick up another aircraft at night. And in fact, even during the day, it's difficult to pick up another aircraft visually, which is why that TCAS system is so critically important to aviation today. If we didn't have TCAS today, with the dramatically increased traffic, we'd be having collisions every second or third day.
New Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the Pentagon was launching an immediate inquiry into the circumstances of the crash.
First and most importantly, I'd like to express our deep sorrow about these events. This is a difficult day for all of us at American Airlines, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, partners, first responders, along with their families and loved ones. We're cooperating fully with the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation and will continue to provide all the information we can. Our cooperation is without pause, and we want to learn everything we can about today's events. We understand and appreciate that people are eager for information. Please know that we'll continue to share accurate and timely information as soon as we can. But anything we must report must be accurate. We owe that to everyone involved.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says he's planning a meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump to discuss key issues, including immigration, something he believes could impact millions of Filipinos in the U.S. We will see how we can influence policy making in terms of immigration, Marcos told reporters, though he didn't specify when the meeting would take place. The president also weighed in on tensions in the South China Sea and the presence of the U.S. military's Typhoon missile system in the Philippines. China has been vocal in its opposition, demanding its removal. But Marcos pushed back, saying this: "I don't understand the comments on the Typhoon missile system. We don't make any comments on their missile systems, and their missile systems are 1,000 times more powerful than what we have." He went a step further, offering a deal to Beijing. "Let's make a deal with China. Stop claiming our territory, stop harassing our fishermen, and let them have a living. Stop ramming our boats, stop water cannoning our people, stop firing lasers at us, and stop your aggressive and coercive behavior, and I'll return the Typhoon missiles." Now, no word yet on how China will respond to that challenge. Another group of Israeli hostages is back home after being released by Palestinian militants in exchange for 110 Palestinian prisoners. One of them, Israeli soldier Agam Berger, was seen in uniform walking through a narrow alley in Jabalia, surrounded by rubble, before being handed over to the Red Cross. Meanwhile, 80-year-old Gadi Moses and 29-year-old Arbel Yahud, both abducted from kibbutz near Oz, were shown hugging in a video released by Hamas ally Islamic Jihad, flanked by masked gunmen in black uniforms. They're expected to be transferred at a separate location in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. The prisoner exchange comes as part of the latest phase of a ceasefire deal. Among those released on the Palestinian side, 30 minors and several prisoners linked to deadly attacks in Israel. They're being taken to the West Bank or Gaza later today. And this exchange isn't the only one happening. 5 Thai nationals taken during the Hamas-led attack in October 2023 are also said to be freed under a separate deal. Meanwhile, in Israel, emotional crowds gathered in Tel Aviv's Hostage Square, cheering, crying, and watching every moment unfold on a giant screen. That attack on October 7 left around 1,200 people dead and saw over 250 hostages taken, the deadliest single attack on Jews since the Holocaust. Israel's military response has since devastated Gaza, with over 47,000 Palestinians killed, entire neighborhoods destroyed, and basic necessities running short. The latest numbers show 89 hostages are still held in Gaza, with around 30 declared dead. The world's largest religious gathering became a scene of terror. At the Mahakumbh Mela in Prayagraj, a sea of humanity surged against barricades, trapping devotees desperate for a dip. As the crowd tightened, panic set in, people fainted, cries for help echoed through the throng, and then the stampede.
It was so overcrowded, and we were crammed in a place, and everyone started saying, "Save us." It was so crammed that we thought we would die. My daughter shouted, "Mother, save me!" But I could not save her because I was stuck in the crowd, and she got crushed and died.
At least 30 people were confirmed dead, but sources at the mortuary told reporters the toll was likely much higher, closer to 50. A Reuters witness counted at least 39 bodies inside the morgue, though police claimed some were unrelated deaths. Some witnesses spoke of a huge push that caused devotees to fall on each other, while others said closure of routes to the water brought the dense crowd to a standstill and caused people to collapse due to suffocation. And tragedy in South Sudan. A plane carrying oil workers has crashed, killing all 20 people on board. The small aircraft was taking off from an oil-filled airport in Unity State, bound for the capital Juba, when it went down. The passengers were employees of the Greater Pioneer Operating Company, a consortium that includes Chinese and Sudanese state-owned oil companies. 2 Chinese nationals and 1 Indian are among the dead. South Sudan's president has pledged a full investigation into this crash. A dramatic rescue operation is still underway in Japan, where authorities are racing against time to save a truck driver trapped in a massive sinkhole. In Yashio City, just north of Tokyo, a desperate race to save a life continues as rescue teams battle a growing sinkhole that swallowed a truck driver 2 days ago. The 74-year-old driver remains trapped after his truck plunged into what started as a 10-meter wide, 5-meter deep hole. Now that hole is expanding. Emergency crews are taking extraordinary measures, pumping sewage water into nearby rivers to prevent the sinkhole from filling up. Officials say the water is being treated with chlorine before release. The situation grew more critical early Thursday when a second sinkhole formed and merged with the first as underground erosion continues to eat away at the soil. Rescue teams are carefully removing mud using small machinery while monitoring the situation with drones, but they're working against multiple challenges: the risk of further cave-ins and the unknown condition of the trapped driver. Local authorities are calling on residents upstream to minimize water usage as the damaged sewage system continues to complicate rescue efforts. Officials warn this crisis could have long-lasting effects with no quick fix in sight for the ruptured sewage pipe that triggered this emergency. President Donald Trump is making a controversial move to expand the U.S. migrant detention facility at Guantanamo Bay. In a bold executive order signed today, the president directed the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to prepare a 30,000-bed facility to detain what he calls the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the country.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday ordered the expansion of a migrant detention facility at Guantanamo Bay.
Today, I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And tough. That's a tough place to get out of.
The U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, already houses a migrant facility separate from the high-security U.S. prison for foreign terrorism suspects. It has been used on occasion for decades, including to hold Haitians and Cubans picked up at sea. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel called Trump's plan, quote, an act of brutality. New U.S. Border Czar Tom Homan said later on Wednesday that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency would run the expanded facility. He told reporters the center would be used for the, quote, worst of the worst. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said the administration was working with Congress to determine the cost of the project.
But we have to do due diligence and making sure we have the resources to process paperwork in a timely manner. And so more immigration courts and judges, getting those kind of resources through Congress is important to make sure we're not just securing the border, we're deporting these dangerous individuals and then fixing our broken system.
The detention facility at Guantanamo Bay was set up by George W. Bush to detain foreign militant suspects following the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. There are 15 detainees left in the prison. Trump's two Democratic predecessors, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, both sought, albeit unsuccessfully, to shut Guantanamo down. However, Trump has vowed to keep it open. Pro-refugee groups have called for the Guantanamo migrant facility to be closed and for Congress to investigate alleged abuses there.
And President Trump has been very clear with those countries that if you aren't willing to take your criminals back, your illegals back, then we will hold you accountable. And things have shifted quickly. In other cases, we want somewhere else to hold them safely in the interim, criminal illegals. Guantanamo Bay is a perfect place. This is a temporary transit, which is already the mission of Naval Station Guantanamo Bay, where we can plus up thousands and tens of thousands if necessary to humanely move illegals out of our country where they do not belong back to the countries where they came from in proper process.
So you're going to be using it as a way station, in essence, where criminal illegal immigrants are not yet accepted by their home country. Do I have that correctly? And if that's the case, describe for me the kind of illegal immigrant that will be sent to Guantanamo.
More or less, you're right. It's folks who maybe are in transit to their home country or a safe third harbor country, and it's taking a little time to move with that processing or the paperwork. Better they be held at a safe location like Guantanamo Bay, which is meant and built for migrants, meant and built to stay that away from the American people as they are processed properly to where they came from.
And the news continues here on Net 25. We'll be right back.
This Sunday on Cine Throwback.
They say that I was born the coldest day on earth. They say that I was born with a frozen heart. Some might even say I was carried at womb's length.
There are 3 rules that whatever happens, you must not forget.
Never touch the hands of my heart. Yes, I know.
Yes, but what else? Keep your temper under control. And rule number 3 is when you don't know, and by far the most important, whatever else you do, you must never, ever fall in love.
Straight in the eye, all I see are stars.
This Sunday, 12 p.m. here on Net 25.
Let's net together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
As military tensions rise in the Arctic, there's a new challenge facing world powers: making drones work in extreme cold.
On an icy night in Greenland, a drone flies over a frozen landscape. But in such cold temperatures, its battery will likely only last a few minutes, rendering it useless. As the Arctic region increasingly comes into the geopolitical spotlight, governments are scrambling to find solutions. And the industry is working at pace to develop the technology to endure such glacial conditions. Using drones in the world's far north is problematic. Only the largest, long-range models have enough power for the anti-icing systems planes use. Cold, fog, rain, or snow can cause a malfunction or a crash in smaller models.
Icing on a drone reduces the performance. It can reduce the endurance, but it can also lead to crashes.
This is where aerospace aerodynamics engineer Joachim Wallisch comes in. In a wind tunnel in Finland, he's testing ways to help these vulnerable drones operate in freezing temperatures.
So we hope to learn how to best design an ice protection system for a wing so that it can work on multiple different designs, that it uses as little energy as possible to remove the ice completely from the wing.
Many of the cheaper models can be bought on the open market, but the Ukraine conflict has revealed their limitations in winter. Large, long-range drones that operate like airplanes can cost more than $200 million each. So, governments and large aerospace firms are turning to startups and small companies for innovative solutions, a NATO source told Reuters. So, why here in particular? Well, the Arctic is a vast region where radar and satellite coverage are limited. Countries in the far north have been reporting more acts of sabotage on energy and communications lines. Russia and China have stepped up military activity in the area, and the United States sees the region as crucial for territorial defense and its early warning system against nuclear attacks. A Reuters survey of 14 companies and 6 defense ministries and armed forces in Northern Europe and America revealed a focus on procuring drones. Russia took an early lead in the race. Its military began building up a drone fleet in the Arctic in 2014 and has only advanced since then. Drone expert James Patton Rogers acts as a policy advisor to NATO and the UN.
When it comes down to the more advanced medium altitude, long endurance systems, due to the fact that anything that flies up that high has to sustain extreme weather conditions, then it is the West, it is the European powers and the United States that has that advantage. And that is quite clear. But due to Russian innovations with the war in Ukraine, I'd say that when it comes down to the smaller systems at the tactical level, it is likely the case that Russia has the advantage there.
Nations with territory in the region are boosting military spending and drawing up plans to buy winter-proof drones, budgeting tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. New NATO member Finland has been a first mover, using unmanned aerial vehicles to patrol its border with Russia and protect the alliance's northeastern flank. Norway says it will invest in long-range surveillance drones for a planned Arctic base. And Sweden has said it plans to scale up capabilities in the area without giving details.
Drones are currently being used to have a persistent overwatch above key areas of strategic interest for European allied and Arctic Western powers. These are unarmed drones, let's be very clear, that can not only survey over towards the Arctic and that ever-increasing importance of the Northern Sea Route, which is being utilized by both Russia and China for global trade in and out of the Arctic regions, but they're also strategically placing them so that these drones can also keep a watchful eye to Russia more towards Europe, more towards the Baltic and out towards Ukraine.
As military activity steps up in the Arctic, drones will become increasingly relied upon for surveillance. But until they can easily withstand the harsh conditions, the race to develop and fund new technology will remain crucial.
Our final story tonight focuses on one of the world's most famous paintings, the Mona Lisa. Created in the 16th century by Leonardo da Vinci, this masterpiece draws millions to Paris's Louvre Museum each year. And now, a major change is coming to how visitors experience this iconic work. Take a look. Each year, approximately 9 million people visit the Louvre, with an outstanding 80% coming specifically to see the Mona Lisa. But their experience is often far from ideal. Most viewers manage only a brief glimpse of the painting through a sea of crowds and smartphones.
The gallery is crowded with people, and I want to see Mona Lisa, but I cannot because there are a lot of people here.
Nearly 1 million visitors stream through the Louvre annually, with the vast majority seeking out one particular masterpiece, Leonardo da Vinci's portrait of Lisa Gennardini del Giocondo, better known as the Mona Lisa. This 16th century painting has survived various threats over the centuries, from vandals to thieves. But today it faces a modern challenge, the endless wave of selfie-seeking visitors.
So in my first time, there was nothing, so I can go in front of the painting. And next time, the glass thing came up, and now it's like, I don't know what happened. It's like protecting Mona Lisa is one of the important things, but also like to visit. I mean, the purpose for a visit is also to watch Mona Lisa, so it would be great if we can see a little bit more closer.
To address these concerns, the Louvre plans to create a separate entrance on its eastern facade, leading to a dedicated exhibition space for the Mona Lisa. President Macron explained the decision.
I think you are right, Madam President. The creation of these new rooms in the Louvre's Cour Carrée should allow us to display the Mona Lisa in a particular space, independently accessible compared to the rest of the museum, and with its own ticket to access, but also conditions that will allow for a visit in a different and more peaceful state and display. Presentation and explanation conditions that correspond with what the Mona Lisa deserves.
This change is part of a larger renovation addressing the museum's aging infrastructure. While the new entrance, scheduled for completion by 2031, will be funded by the museum, other renovations will be supported by increased ticket prices starting next year. Macron aims to increase annual visitors to 12 million. Critics suggest the museum should focus on promoting its other masterpieces rather than isolating its star attraction. Some also view Macron's involvement as politically motivated, seeing parallels with his handling of the Notre Dame Cathedral restoration. As the Louvre Museum, once home to French kings and a symbol of Parisian cultural influence, prepares for this transformation, the debate continues over whether this change will truly enhance the Mona Lisa experience or simply serve political interests. So will the Mona Lisa's new home make visiting the Louvre a better experience? Or is this just an expensive fix for a problem that won't go away? One thing's for sure though, Mona Lisa will still be smiling. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on Net 25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thanks for joining us. Good night.